So today we have Kevin with us, all the way from Germany, who's inspired me to reach out to him through his breath work. Actually, it's his rebirth work that really intrigued me, and also the location that he's having a retreat this summer in Greece. So, Kevin, if people want to get a hold of him, taothesun.com. I'm sure I'm going to put that up at the end too. I'm sure people are going to want to reach out to him because he's doing some super cool stuff. And thank you so much for joining me today, Kevin. Yeah, your website, you talk about how you teach breath work and holistic healing, but your big passion, it seems, is this rebirth workshop that you do, or not rebirth workshop, but rebirth therapy, actually.
Right.
I would love to know more about that if you want to just dive in
hmm
and share.
Yeah, sure. So it's rebirthing breath therapy or rebirthing breath work is more the more common spread in the breathwork scene.
Mm,
It's basically a form of breathwork, but it's the original form of breathwork. In rebirthing, we also call it the simple pranayama of a newborn child
mm-hmm.
because it is a very simplistic breathing method where we relearn how to have this simplistic conscious connected breath that we used to have when we were a little baby. You see, like babies, they are usually very much connected to source, and you can see it. Like when you are in the presence of a baby, it makes you feel present. It makes you feel good. It's like a bliss ball. And it's not just because it's small and cute, but because it's connected. And the baby is so connected, first of all, because it just came out from source, right? From the mother,
Mm-hmm.
from also very much connected to the urine as well. But also because its breathing is still inhabited, like not changed, not altered too much. That was the only time of our life where we didn't hold our breath at all because we were not speaking. So the breath was flowing continuously in a beautiful rhythm. But over time, it got changed. And, then of course, through certain traumas, we learn from a very young age that when we alter our breath and when we hold our breath, we can also withhold our feelings and our emotions. So we start uh, changing our breath and not breathing into our chest, let's say, into our heart or in our genitals or in our lower belly or wherever it is. And we create breathing deviations. We call it breathing deviations in rebirthing. And that's actually the main aim of this work. It's not just to bring you into an altered state of consciousness, what many breathworks are about, in rebirthing breathwork, the main aim is to correct those deviations that we have accumulated and created throughout life. And then that's it, then we liberate and free our breathing mechanism. And, breath is life.
Yeah.
When we breathe fully and freely, so we live. It's like our breath pattern is creating our life pattern. And I mean, it's so obvious. Um, but most people don't think about it. They think like, what do I need to? I don't need to learn how to breathe. I mean, I'm breathing now, right? That's like the argument they're bringing. But in actual fact, 99 or maybe more people have a completely crippled breathing mechanism. Like they cannot breathe fully and freely into their chest or into their lower belly.
Yeah.
Their diaphragm cannot expand freely. So this is like the main aim in rebirthing. Uh, it's also one of the reasons why it's called rebirth breath therapy or rebirthing breathwork because you kind of feel like reborn after a session or after several sessions. It really does something on your physical body, but mainly also on your energetic body.
Yeah. It can like alter your metabolism to coming back
Yeah.
to this, right? I noticed when I started, I was doing like belly breathing and deep breath work while I was living in Canada on the West Coast, and had a really nice place in the forest. And it was so easy to feel connected. And when I started to travel for extended periods of time and just being in all these different places, big cities, and I noticed my breathing was like I wasn't taking those deep breaths anymore, and I was just really super shallow breathing. And it kind of caught up with me. It was like years went by, and I had like I fainted or had a out of body experience. And it was I realized then that it was all a lot of this that led to that moment happening was because I wasn't breathing. Like I was breathing so shallow, that and the stress I had in my life then, and just all came tumbling down. And then next thing I knew, I was literally on the ground. So yeah, that was a big wake up for me as far as like getting back to, it's like a very beginning stage, the breath work of,
Yeah, yeah. It's like through the breathing, through the holding of our breath or the incorrect breathing, we actually create those imprints, energetic imprints, but also then physical imprints. It's like something dramatically happened in your life. You see an accident or you witness something really bad, and you're like,
mm,
you have this event going on, but that's just an event,
mm,
But the reason why it gets stored in your cellular memory is because you're holding your breath together with that emotional sensation.
yeah.
So when we breathe, when we start breathing and correcting our breathing mechanism and healing those deviations, we suddenly go back into these imprints, get emotional releases, release, it's getting clearer and clearer. And eventually, with enough breathing and enough correcting, those imprints are gone. Your energetic body is clear, and therefore your physical body can adapt to your energetic body because your physical appearance, even like how you physically look, is just a manifestation of the energetic body.
Mm,
So sometimes you see people like with a total flat and almost like going inward, like chest,
mm,
like but like we have seen this when the chest is going inward like this,
yeah,
and usually they cannot breathe in there at all.
yeah.
And I've seen it with clients that after a while, after receiving
Oh
enough
no.
rebirthing sessions, well, I was saying, when you have like this chest, let's say, and you start breathing into that area again, and slowly you open up your breathing mechanism, also your physical appearance changes again.
Yeah, and you were
Yeah.
saying the especially women, you see that a lot. The shoulders like down and rolled in, like,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
there's a lot of closing happening there. Um,
Yeah. The chest and the heart is actually the area where most people cannot breathe at all. And unfortunately, there's also a lot of misinformation in the breathwork scene out there where from the yogic tradition, people say, oh, you should not breathe in your chest, you should breathe in your belly, only belly breathing. But also, this is not fully correct
mm,
because even the belly breathing can be a breathing deviation in itself, you see.
mm,
As long as we haven't healed our breathing deviations, any technique, if that's mouth breathing or very strong breathing like Wim Hof,
mm,
all these forms can be a deviation in itself and then strengthen your overall deviations.
mm,
And a true free and full breath like a newborn, when like the breath of a newborn child is everything is expanding simultaneously. The diaphragm moves from the bottom up, from the top down, and side to side, not just in the belly or not just in the chest. It's like it's
yeah, it's
opening
like their
everything
whole
up.
body is breathing when you see an
Right.
infant. It's
Exactly.
yeah, wow. And this, I think it's so. We were actually talking about this with Bradley on our community call. Getting outside of to go on a retreat, actually to get outside of your space and go to a different space to do something like this is super powerful. And of course, we can do retreats at home, but there's really something special about getting out of the space, the environment that you're in, and into a new environment. That these experience, it's like compounded. The experience is really like extra powerful for people when you have that combo. And the location that you've chosen to do your retreat, do you want to, I just would love to hear about how you discovered the place, and yeah,
Mhm.
what drew you to wanting to have these rebirth retreats in this location.
Mhm. Um, so I guess I landed in that place because that's where I learned the rebirthing technique. Many, many years ago, I was in Asia, and then through many synchronicities, I got invited into a breathwork school to learn this technique. And I first went through my own healing and liberated my breath in 20 days. And then after that, I was just like, I want to continue this work. I want to do it for myself, but I also I want to share that with the world. So that's where I started, like, giving private sessions, guiding people through 10 sessions. And then eventually, as the years went by, I decided I want to have something physical. I want to have a retreat. And it was clear to me that it's going to be on that island in Greece, which is it's just beautiful. You have hot springs, you have waterfalls, like over 200 rivers on a small island. You have the Greek Ocean. You have like a witchy, magical forest with like the most crazy trees ever. Like there are a lot of like myths and ancient stories about this island. It was a place of initiation already in the times of Zeus, or how to say it in English. The Greek god. He was supposed to be born. He was born there, they say.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, the island has everything I need for a place to be for myself. It has all the elements, and that is the main theme of the retreat. It's called elemental gathering, rebirthing, elemental rebirth gathering, because we are working very closely with the natural elements, earth, water, fire, and air, on a daily basis to, you know, get get back to our true self, because we are made out of the elements. So every time we are surrounded by the elements, which are so pure still, it reminds us on our purity. It reminds us on our simplicity, on our truth and our love. So yeah, that's like how I came to this place and how I chose this place. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I'm going to try and say the name of the island here.
Yeah.
Samothraki?
Yeah,
Samothraki?
that's pretty much the name. Yeah, Samothraki. Yeah.
Um, yeah, Samothraki Island. June 24th to 30th. Is that,
Yeah,
yeah.
soon.
Yeah, hey, we
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
be,
yeah,
we won't be back in Europe by then, I don't think. So we'll maybe catch your next year's one, or who
yeah,
knows? Maybe we'll do a
yeah,
collaborative thing in Montenegro or something.
yeah. If it has all, like, if it checks all the boxes.
Yeah, I was going your website's really great, by the way. I'm going to put your website up again right now. Your website's so clear and easy to navigate, and I love how you have that part you're talking about. The elemental part of it is really broken down on the website if people want to go there and check it out. It's very easily navigatable.
Yeah.
And it's tantalizing, the videos that you have and the little images that you have there of past workshops or retreats. How many times have you done these in Greece?
Um, 4 time, I believe. This
Oh,
this like 4 times already. Yeah.
wow.
And
Cool.
then I had the last few years I had retreats in Spain as well.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah,
You usually have you done any in Germany yet, or you usually go to more sunny
yeah.
location,
I
seaside, sun?
I haven't done any in Germany yet. I mean, I can imagine it doing it somewhere here. But that particular island is just perfect because you can literally free camp anywhere, and we have like a huge forest section where it's hard to reach, and so we have total privacy in this entire forest region. There's no one. We have like beautifully set up our tents. It's almost like a little village, and then we have a river, a creek running through, and again, like so many waterfalls, just walking distance. Small hikes, and then we can make a fire all day. It's just perfect, and I haven't found anything. I mean, I'm traveling a lot, and I haven't found a place like this.
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
Yeah, free camping is really something special to experience.
Yeah.
Just that itself. I kind of had a rebirth experience when I did my first uh, plasma or urine bath. It wasn't
Right.
100% plasma, but it was enough to trigger that in my body. And I think also because the water I was using was just well water, groundwater. It wasn't city water like treated water. So
Yeah.
the integration was better, but yeah, I had a huge emotional release during that experience. And I wonder if do you incorporate Orina plasma or do you incorporate that into your breathwork workshops or I mean I guess it depends
Um,
who's open
it,
to it
it depends. Yeah, for sure.
or if that's ever even come up for
I,
you.
I, I do have a workshop, and everybody sees me drinking my pee all the time. And I have a day which is kind of like dedicated to that practice where I share more about it. And surprisingly, last year, like all participants gave it a shot. Like they tried it, like all
Cool.
of them the
Cool.
same day. I guess I was so convincing. I don't know. Um, I don't know if they're still on the practice. I know from a few that they are, but it was beautiful to see. Uh, yeah, I definitely bring it up, and I
Yeah.
might even go this year. I was last year. I was kind of testing it and see like how it goes. I mean, I'm now like 5 years into the practice, and
Wow. Cool.
I I cannot like imagine a physical life without this practice. So I think it's very important to bring it in, and I'm not worried because I attract the right people
Yeah.
anyways. Like there won't be people who are
Yeah.
like disgust
Not
me.
out there to
They are,
convince anyone. You're just waiting
yeah,
for the right people to
exactly.
show up. Yeah.
Yeah, if I cannot convince, if I can convince myself, I can convince anyone, right? So
Yeah. And the
yeah,
yeah, because the orina, the plasma, this is part of the amniotic fluid, so there's a really strong connection there to uh, rebirthing. There's it usually will it a lot of people that practice urine therapy or plasma therapy that do bathing, they have like a they talk about that like I am like a spontaneous rebirth experience that happens for them.
yeah.
And even just like your belly button, putting drops in your belly button can also sort of trigger that
Right.
experience
I
too.
can. I see there a few things that are connected to the rebirth experience people have in the bathtub. Because when you are in the water, no matter what water it is, even if it's the filthy tap water from the
Yeah.
city, you are in the water element, and it brings you, especially warm water, it brings you back into a prenatal state. You're back in the womb,
Mm,
and we have tons of birth traumas. There's no one. I mean, maybe there are a few beings out there that don't have any birth trauma, but most of us have a lot of birth traumas, especially if we are born in the hospital. And in rebirthing, this is one of the main topics as well. Like, what is your birth trauma, and how does it manifest in your life, and how do you keep repeating your birth trauma over and over and over again? Because that's usually what people do. That's
Mm.
the pattern. That's where we have learned it. We don't know anything different, right? If your birth was a struggle, you believe your life is gonna be a struggle. You don't know anything else, right? So our umbilical cord is cut way too early.
Oh, hey.
So in that moment, what did we learn? Life is painful. I have to die. Do you hear me?
I
I feel
just,
like you're
you,
cutting out.
yeah. Hang on 1 second.
On
Yeah,
on whose
both of
side?
us keep cutting out occasionally.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
weird. But you were okay, so damn.
But what do you want to do? You want to stop?
Like if I stop the other recording, will it be a better
Well, if you stop
the local recording? It won't make any
how's that gonna
difference. Okay. Yeah. All right. I guess we're just going to deal with this.
If you stop the local recording, then you won't have the version without cuts.
Okay.
That's why you do that.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
It's gonna
Just
be
seeing
alright.
if I could fix something here, but it wouldn't change anything. So you were talking about the trauma and the water, going back into the water, and how we all have the umbilical cord being cut too soon. That was where you cut out. The
Yeah,
umbilical cord being cut too soon. That's huge. Hey, I mean, I think 98% of us have that issue right there with the umbilical cord, just already, the very, very start.
yeah, and that's where we learn that life is painful, and I cannot breathe, and breathing is painful.
Mm,
So we learn tons of
yeah,
stuff at birth.
yeah,
It's really like an initiation, and when we go into the bathtub, we come back to that prenatal state. You know, and stuff can come up. We can have emotional releases, and especially now, what you say, if we now take a bath in Orina, I mean, that is like putting yourself really back into a prenatal state. Like
yeah.
big
Because
time.
then it's like cellular, like you wake up your cells to that memory again, and
And now, if you would combine that with rebirthing breathwork, if you would breathe into that technique, wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
I when I on your website, I was reading about how the man who established this, Leonard Orr.
Leonard Orr, yeah.
Yeah, I got his book. I'm going to take a big dive into that real soon
Awesome.
here because, yeah, I really am intrigued by this whole part of it. It
Yeah,
was big
he's a
for
big
me.
inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, the Shivambu really woke me up to that whole part of healing, really, and healing that trauma. And one of the things that came up for me was like this feeling of acceptance, and like the polarity of that, this abandonment, like that if I didn't behave the right way, then I wouldn't be accepted. And if I didn't, like, not just with my parents, but like social, the broader picture of that also.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emotion was tied up there for me, and it was a huge like breakthrough release that happened. I was just like sobbing. Was not expecting it at all. I was just like, yeah, it really caught me off guard actually. But the more baths that I did, the better I felt. It was like a purification uh, was happening, and this like self acceptance and so many things about working with your own waters that just link all back to this self love and this self care
Right.
aspect of it.
Yeah, it for sure has a psychological aspect. but more so an energetic aspect, right? I was just recently making an article. I posted an article about it, where I was like saying that your urine always contains your energetic blueprint. No matter when you drink it, no matter how you feel, there's always like captured this blueprint of you. So that's how we can align ourselves energetically. Like it brings us back to homeostasis in a way, to emotional and energetic homeostasis, because it
Yeah.
contains that blueprint.
Yeah. And super grounding, like, and healing in so many different ways. Like, it's so powerful in so many ways, just from like a toxicity standpoint, like for purifying. When I was living in Asia, I got bit by, like, we were on a crazy farm, and I literally was bit by, like, you know, 100 mosquitoes. Like, it was this really intense area that we were in. And I just washed my whole body down, and I had not even one bite express itself. So it's really interesting to, like, what you're what you're combating, like what you don't even see the. I can't imagine the experience of not having access to that waters during that moment. Then, you never know what the result would be if you didn't do it, right? Because you are using these waters on your body. So it's hard to say, like, what the outcome would be otherwise, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Mm.
But super powerful. And I love one of the women I talked to about her, she did a free birth at home on her own for her second child. And she was taught by a woman in Italy where they pack the placenta in salt and leave it attached to the baby until that falls away. And then she actually consumed the placenta after it was, like, cured with the salt. I wouldn't actually do that part of it, but it's interesting, these different techniques that we don't practice anymore, as women who were most babies are born in hospitals still. And so it's just really interesting, like, the trauma is, we're so disconnected from the environment. And yeah, everything is just not ideal in a way. I mean, I love modern medicine, and, or in a sense, and how it can be save lives and put bones back together, but there's so much trauma involved in all of it, really.
Yeah.
They're very cold there. I've been in the hospital a few times for things, and it's just, there's no compassion. There's not a lot of compassion there from doctors. They're busy serving. It's just like next, next, next. They're not really able to give you time.
Yeah, I believe it's done on purpose,
Yeah,
like the entire script of birth. Because if we would have, well, it starts at conception already, right? Like it should be a conscious and happy conception, and not like by accident.
yeah,
But it goes further, and then it goes to birth. So if we would have like a happy and conscious conception, and a happy, conscious, and healthy birth, we would have a happy, conscious, and healthy world. But the ones in control don't want that. So it's
no,
like it's in a way it's part of the system, and that's why it's so important also in my work to encourage parents, but especially women, to not be afraid of birth, and to remove all these programs, of birth as well, because you see it everywhere. You see it in movies, in series. Like whenever there's a birth, it's like drama and pain, and maybe she's dying, and but it's not the reality.
Yeah,
Like
and
birth
everything
should
is
be,
like hidden. You know, we don't see the, from my own experience, I never even saw the placenta or what the umbilical cord looked like nothing. Like I
right.
saw my son after he was, the cord was cut and he was like basically wrapped up already before he was given to me. And I was really naive, back then. I mean, it's just so much has changed about what I believe in now. It would be a totally different experience for me. And I guess that's what a lot of my own rebirth trauma was tied to my son actually, and how that generate this generational trauma that we all hold. It's like
Yeah.
we're just now starting to break free, some of us, of that reality. So there's like a lot of um, there was a grieving process that came with that too.
Mm. If we don't heal our own birth trauma, we just gonna continue, repeating it over and over and over. Because the thing is, when you give birth as a woman, but also as like when you are involved as a man, you are re-experiencing your own birth trauma. So that is overwhelming if you haven't done any healing work before,
Yeah.
right? And this is why birth is such a crazy thing for most women. They have never experienced this energy that is coming. It's very
Mm-hmm.
similar to receiving a rebirthing breathwork session, that energy. And if you have never received anything of that and you are full of imprints, it's gonna be unpleasant.
Yes, it can be overwhelming. I can feel that. That
Yeah.
I wasn't like I was. Yeah, I was in a nice space when I had that experience, but I can see how that could be like really throw someone off balance almost actually,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
there's a lot of emotion there to deal with. I think that's one of the amazing things about plasma therapy, about urine therapy, that is so there's so much it's like you're being held energetically or something. There's so much support there for you from the plasma that I don't know. I guess it's because, as you were saying, is I call it the drinkable hologram. Like when you take that water back into you, and your body wants to be in homeostasis, and you're giving it that information back of the state that you're in so quickly that you're able to progress in your or evolve in your journey a bit. I don't want to say faster, but in a more stable maybe, just because you're getting that information, you're taking that
Hmm.
information back. So I can see how it would be really beneficial in a rebirthing workshop to um like at least breach the subject, I don't know,
Yeah.
for people and see if they want to engage in it in that way.
Yeah, I feel the same. It is very connected to the entire topic of birth and rebirthing. And in my own personal journey, like I can see how it is interconnected because whenever I do breathe myself for like an hour and then I urinate and I drink it, it is very potent. You can
Mm.
tell from not just the taste, but you can tell when the urine is potent. Sometimes it's just like too much water and I'm just peeing it out and it's like, it's just hydration.
Yeah. Yes.
But then there's this urine. You are still hydrated, but there's something really potent to it, and I feel this is
Yeah.
where like the blueprint and the information is very condensed and very strong and very activated. And
Mm.
especially then you should drink it. It's like the same when you go into the gym or you exercise or you're having sex or
Yes.
like all these kind of things that activate so much in the human body. and also on the energetic body. I think that one is gold. You know, like this one, if you
Yeah.
reconsume this one, you are just benefiting double, you know, or more. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
How
Sometimes I
did
don't
you
really
get
know how to put it in
introduced?
words.
Yeah, exactly. How did you discover this, the plasma
the,
therapy or the urine
yeah,
therapy?
also very interesting because when it came my path, I was on a very truthful and simplistic and pure state like of my life. That was
Mm.
in I was living in Costa Rica in the jungle, like literally the jungle, like completely off of everything. Um, and I was on a juice feast for like I don't know 70 days in total. And along that journey, a good brother of mine who also back then introduced me many years ago to fruitarianism and all this stuff, he we were talking about it, and it was very confusing because I was double programmed, so to speak, that urine is waste, because I am a detoxification specialist, and learned from Dr. Robert Morse, who is an amazing teacher and healer. But he teaches that, you know, lymphatic waste is getting excreted through the kidneys. So I was double programmed, you know, that it's waste. But I was open to it, and something resonated with me in that moment, even though my mind was not at
Mm.
that point, but my body, my physical body, was in such a pure and undistracted uh, path in that moment that I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna try it. And it was very cool. Like the first sip I took, it it was like my body was just absorbing it. You know, my like it felt so familiar. I was like, I
Yeah.
know this. I know this from somewhere. And then I
Yeah.
started reading books about it. You know, I was like, okay, this is why. You know, like we were like drinking that in the womb. I didn't know. You know, so yeah,
Hmm.
that's how I got introduced. And then I went very quick into it. You know, just drank it, and I did enemas. I did a lot of enemas in that time during the juice feast, and also I released like a I don't know 20 like this long, yeah, 20 centimeter, 25 centimeter parasite in that time after doing a urine
Wow.
enema. Yeah. So that was the proof. Then I was like,
Powerful.
all right, this is not this
Yeah.
is stuff is potent.
Results.
Yeah.
Results. So did that happen first and then you got really into the breath work and the rebirthing and or
No, I was
did
already,
did
yeah, I was already into
you were
breathwork.
already doing rebirthing? Mm.
Yeah,
But the
a few years.
rebirthing, you were already into that? Oh wow. Wow,
Yes, and
okay.
and
So you're
also the it's all interconnected because when I came across rebirthing, 2018, 2019, I was only plant based. You know, already a few years, like 5 years or something. But I didn't even know what fruitarianism is or raw vegan, and I could never imagine. But once I yeah healed my breath and I was able to utilize the air more than before, because that's what you do, you know. I mean, this is not the main aim. The main aim of rebirthing is to correct your breathing deviations, but eventually what you learn is how to breathe energy as well as air. So you start yeah transitioning automatically, if you want it or not, into the pranic life, in the Breviarian state, in a way, which we already are, right?
mm,
So that led me into, of course, I was also in the tropics at that time. I was living in Bali, and then I naturally was gravitating towards fruit. But also from a density perspective, through the breathing and all of that, I just was led into a more lighter lifestyle. Not just what I consume in my mouth, but also like how I live. You know, I was just living in the tropics, and then the summer I was in Greece, and then that was my lifestyle. It still
routine.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, there was something I wanted to say now I forgot.
Breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Let's all take a moment and have a nice breath. When you breathe, I know in Chinese medical Qigong texts that I'm reading or going through right now, they say breathe into your toes. But I mean, there's um, there's also the yin, this alchemy, this women's alchemy book. It's more about just breathing with ease. Actually, they sort of focus on that. And there's so many different texts that talk about breath work.
Right.
Yeah, this is another reason why I'm super interested in what this Leonard or has to say about it, because he went there to study. He went to Asia to study. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was like traveling to India on a regular base on the search for
Mm.
immortal yogis. He was very into physical immortality, and so do
Oh,
I.
right, right,
Like
right.
this is one of my biggest fascinations and beliefs that our body is immortal. We just have to adapt it to the eternal spirit. But most people are living
Yes.
in a deaf mentality and in the deaf cult, in the deaf society,
Yeah.
which is fine.
With all
If
of the
someone wants to
dead,
die,
a
go
lot
ahead.
of dead food. Yeah, yeah, we consume
That
a
as
lot of
well.
death.
That as
We
well.
eat death. Yeah, it's so
Right.
crazy. And this
But that's
density
not
that you're
everything.
talking about.
It really
No.
starts with your mind. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Yeah,
that's why he was traveling.
the cleaner you get, the when you go back to these denser foods. Because I mean, for me anyway, on this journey, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, just because you get when you separate yourself into a different environment, like when you're saying Costa Rica, where you're around all this fruit and you get to have this new experience with your body and what's how it's being fed. And then a lot of times when we go back to our, homeland, or to the people that we grew up around, and then you get into the festivities and this food, our food culture, and you get tempted back into that old, denser food lifestyle again. And to
Which
feel
is,
that back into your body again, it's just crazy.
yeah. I guess it's
And when
part of
people
the.
say,
I was saying, I think it's just part of the integration part.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's different. It's a challenge. Like, it was for me. But I mean, it kind of still is. Like a year ago when I was back, for Christmas, which I haven't been back to my family for Christmas in a really many, many, many years. And of course, it's like just food bonanza. And I didn't want to feel like, I don't know, you just engage, right? I just was like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to not worry about what it is. I'm just going to be with everyone. I'm just going to consume the foods that they put at the dinner table and discern how I like, and just, be in that environment. And it was crazy how my body responded to that. But the plasma cycling is really helpful for this.
Yeah.
Um, it
It's a
really
hack.
helps you to see what it is that you should be eating and what it is that you shouldn't be eating, really. It's
Yeah.
the best way to get in touch with your diet and see firsthand what the impact of what it is that you're consuming has on your body.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
that's why I wouldn't be too worried about it, except like you have this as a big goal, which is very admirable. But the urine is just taking care of it. I mean, this shouldn't be an excuse to
yeah.
abuse your body, of course, like not at all. But it gives you some kind of peace because you have something that like can take care of a lot of things very quick.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
want to say something to that aspect with the environment and the food and the integration of things, because food is is just one element, right? Like food and diet and fasting and even urine therapy, kinda, is earth, right? It's the earth element. And to be energetically clean and clear uh, and stable, we have to incorporate and work with all the elements on a daily basis to purify. And this is like what is missing for most people, because they don't incorporate the fire, they don't incorporate the air, and they don't incorporate the water proper. Maybe the water is in there too because they have a hydrating diet and they drink their urine, but like the fire is very neglected a lot. And I think the fire is one of the most important elements because it has the ability to clear and burn emotional energy pollution that we accumulate at such events, dinner events or being in the city or just being where a lot of people are. It burns away the emotional energy pollution that we accumulate in our energy body. So what I do and what I teach is to spend a lot of time with fire every day. And even if it's just 5 candles, if you cannot make a big fire, but the amount of healing I have experienced through just sitting for hours with an open flame is just incredible. It's magic. It's insane by what I have experienced over the years by these with these practices. And I have I've realized that whenever I incorporate them, all the elements as best as I can on a daily basis, the more centered I am, even in situations where I want to compensate with food, because this is like kind of the thing we do with food, right? It's like we use it as a tool to compensate the density or the pollution we accumulate, right? And I think it's fine if we do it because I think in certain situations we cannot just be so airy and so light in our energy body and then put us in such dense situations. It's almost like a protection mechanism, to use food. Okay, today I'm gonna eat more like grounding and heavy foods without poisoning yourself, of course, without overeating, without all these things, right? But use it consciously. Yeah.
Yeah. We've actually started playing with herbs to do the grounding and like moving away from the denser foods and using herbs to do our grounding or to fulfill these elemental aspects, as you say, which has been really interesting. So if we feel ungrounded, haritaki is a good one. And we're just beginning to experiment in that arena, actually. But I find it really helpful to have herbs around for flavor, not just for flavor to make it taste different, but there's something really powerful about plants. Moringa is one of my favorites that I sort of always have on hand that has in longer, I don't want to call it a fast, but when I'm doing like when I'm doing a deep cleaning, just doing plasma only looping, I only have ever gone 9 days maximum before I felt like my body needed some other kind of energy because I wanted to maintain, like I wanted to go ride my bike. I wanted to go do things. And moringa was one that really helped me give me some of that energy that I was looking for. And actually fresh pressed sugarcane juice was also another nice one.
Oh, that's almost
what
almost
kinds
a drug.
Yeah. I did a lot of fermentation then. I was using water kefir grains to ferment the fresh pressed sugarcane juice. So it wasn't actually consuming a lot. It wasn't a big volume. I would really and that's still kind of what I do today. I'll have my glass of Orina and I'll put in, like this morning, I put in a teaspoon of moringa powder and a teaspoon of tripola, I think it's called, like this blend of 3 herbs that are really popular. And then a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. So that's what I would do. I would put a tablespoon or two of my fermented sugarcane juice into there, and that would be my
Right.
like energy drink, if you want
Nice.
to call it that. Yeah. So I still kind of play around with that today.
Hmm.
But detoxing is, so we're actually on a liver detox right now, and I just and my first, all of this purifying or cleaning or detoxing, I think is such an important part of our health. It's crazy to me that when we're ill, we just think like, oh, we're going to go and see the doctor and he's going to give us something to make this better. But we never look into ourselves like, okay, what is built up in here that actually needs to be purged out? And holistic healthcare is so powerful
Hmm.
in that
Yeah,
arena. It's crazy how I think there's going to be a reemergence of all of this. It's so liberating for the body to release toxins. And that's
100%.
what I love so much about plasma. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's so
It's
beautiful.
truly about eliminating more than we accumulate and consume. I think this is like the key
Yeah,
aspect of a healthy life, to not let the consumption or the accumulation overflow, or like be bigger than the elimination. Then we have a problem, or then we will create a problem.
yeah, and
And
there's a lot of that. There's so much constipation in the world.
yeah, but like, I like to see things from a more subtle aspect of things. Like, I always look at the energy body, because the physical body is only a manifestation of that. So when we go to
Yeah,
the
very
energetic
important.
body, we don't even have to, like, it just, we almost, it's like almost we're skipping a step. We can clear out so much stuff already by going directly to the energetic body, instead of just being stuck in the physical. Of course, they both influence each other, right? If we clean up the physical body, we affect the energetic body as well. But
You,
the energetic
yeah,
body is so forgotten and neglected, right?
yeah,
And
you're
when we
right.
when we speak about detoxification and fasting, as I said, we are only looking at the earth element. It's only one element. But like, what is
Mm,
actually even more, or at least I would say more detoxing and eliminating, is the breath. It's the air element, right? The lungs are responsible for 70% of the detoxification. So if we don't breathe
yes,
proper,
and
or if we
the
breathe toxic air, like, we are only doing so much with one element, right? So
yeah.
it's really about combining
Oh,
all of
I
them.
really love your. Yeah, I really love this. How you're sharing this. It's yeah. So I never really thought about. I mean, of course, I thought about the emotions, but about how it's so forgotten like that and left out. It's so true. And a lot of people find that when they are detoxing, that a lot of emotions do come up, and I think that it can almost be overwhelming and not ready for it, and so it's kind of just like once again brushed into the back, or they feel like the I think people sometimes can confuse detox, and they're actually detoxing, but they think they're sick.
Hmm.
Like they think that this actually happened to me when I first started doing Orina. I had a huge detox expression come out, and my programmed mind was telling me, "Oh, this is because what you're putting into your body is making you sick."
Right.
And then I was just like, "Whoa!" Like I had to stop. I had to stop myself. I was like, "Okay, where did that come from?" And I think that programming, like you were saying, is so deep in us that we fall into that trap.
Yeah, and you say it is overwhelming to like be in the state of detoxification sometimes, but it's actually, I think sometimes for people it is dangerous. Um, and Leonard Orr used to say that, and I agree on that. Like he was like, I cannot quote it, but he was saying that for most people, extended fasts uh, shouldn't be recommended. Like unless you have learned how to breathe proper or like how to care for your energetic body. And we see it in our world now. You know, there are lots of people. I don't know. I don't want to
Yeah,
say
it's like a
lots, but
fad.
there are people in this community, in this lifestyle, who are not doing well. Like you can see it. You can see it
Yeah,
physically, and some of them are even dying. So they are on such a good
yeah,
diet, right? They are detoxing, but something is missing, and the aspect that is missing is the energetic aspect, the emotional aspect. It's
yeah,
just surface stuff. I don't really care about diet, you know? Like this is just a side effect.
y-
Like honestly.
yeah. It's true, actually, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
so
You can make yourself sick with your thoughts. I actually
100%.
think that's more what's going on than anything else, actually. I
I
mean,
know people I know people who are on such a healthy diet and they are doing so much fasting, but they have a core belief, and their core belief is that they are not healthy and that they have to do X amount of water
mm,
fasts
they're
to even get
manifesting
close.
that.
And I don't want to say names, but there are even mentors and teachers out there who tell you that you have to do X amount of water fasts, like 30 days, 40 days, especially go to this specific facility before even getting close to health. And this way of thinking is so wrong and so toxic because you are already
I
healthy
agree.
now, right? You are healthy
Mm.
now. Your body is doing everything to be alive. Your life urge, therefore, is stronger than your death urge. So perfect. What do you want else, you know? So now just keep it like that and do your best, but don't go into this toxic mentality, which is coming out of lack,
Yeah, baby
right?
steps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bingo.
Hmm.
Totally. Oh, yeah, so
Yeah.
good. I really love your stance, like where you view this from. It's really empowering, and I'm so happy to have a conversation with you about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I always say, um, as long as we haven't healed victim consciousness, we don't heal anything. Like we have to heal victim mentality first in order to heal anything.
Yeah, so
Think about
true.
it. Again, like a lot of people in this community in this lifestyle are victims to their circumstances, to toxins, to that's all they talk about.
Yeah, they're
It's just
re-manifesting
shift.
it back in.
It's it's about it's truly about shifting your perspective because your perspective is what is creating your life. So why looking
Yeah,
at things from a negative angle instead of, hey, like this is for me and it's actually for me to guide me in a way, you know, like on the right path and or to have discovered urine therapy or to have discovered this and this and this. Like things are actually
yeah,
working for me, through me. Yeah.
yes, yeah. It's such a gift to be open to these things and not. Um, I mean, I guess I'm I'm stopping myself from saying too much because right now I'm reconnecting with some family members, and there's a big divide. You know, the urine therapy is like a real gap, and just detoxing in general. And some of my family members are so really hooked into the medical system, and like to do an enema. No, to like this detoxing or liver detoxing or anything like that. They're like completely uninterested in it. And when you have people close to you that you want to share this knowledge with, and they're just in a different paradigm. It's so challenging. Uh, and it kind of has been it's been starting to weigh on me. Actually, I feel the weight of that just talking to you about this now. I'm realizing how much that emotionally I'm carrying that with me, and it's like another thing. I think this is where the grief part comes in. And as you know, a few of my girlfriends talk about this as well with their families, like that that feeling of not being accepted, and then but also that also the rejection of I don't want to call it the work, but you know, the rejection of engaging in a conversation even uh, about any of this. It's really like something to manage there. And so when you go to a rebirthing experience with you like that, and then the reintegration must be really a whole other aspect, actually, like taking that energy that you regain back home and then into that environment where you're at. Um, there's a
Well,
lot of your workshops have a lot of tool building to sort of help people take some of these things back home with
yeah.
them to keep them on that journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the integration is the real retreat. Like that's where it's really starting. The
Yeah.
retreat in itself is an
Mm.
initiation where we learn to build that life. And but it's really simple to be honest. Like all we have to do is um, keep keep practicing our rituals or ceremonies or and practices, because in the beginning there might be we have our life and then we have the practice. We have the life, we have the practice. But like for me personally, my practice is my life and my life is my practice. So there is no separation anymore, that it doesn't matter where I am, in which setting I am, but as long as I have access to the elements. And I don't want to even make myself dependent on the elements, because the elements are always with me, right? Our physical body is created and maintained by the four elements. Like our
Yes.
blood contains the four elements. Nevertheless, I think the physical work with the elements is crucial, mainly to keep our energetic body clear, because we are living in a society and we cannot avoid accumulating emotional energy pollution. What you are experiencing in your current living situation with family members and all this, there is a lot of emotional energy pollution happening, and
Mm.
you are open to it, of course. So I believe emotional energy pollution is the root of any disease, any sickness, and ultimately it's what is killing us. So
Yeah.
my practice is just
Wow.
that. Like I how I say it usually. I make sure I win the game of spiritual purification. That means I I clear myself faster than I accumulate. At least I try. And of course,
Yeah.
we always have a choice. Like I choose to live the way I live, and I choose to live 6 months of the year or something in the forest. Or I don't know how long, but like I don't choose to live in the city, and it's my choice. And if I would choose this, I would be responsible and I would give my best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, I love your take on this, and um, yeah, the emotional part is really huge. I remember reading a white paper once about this cancer trial, and 30% of the control group, the control group didn't know if they were getting the medicine for the cancer treatment or not. They were just the control group, and 30% of them lost their hair. So they, with their just mentally. They were like, decided that they were getting the medicine and that it was the medicine and it
Yeah.
was working. And so they manifested that reaction. I mean, that blew my mind. And then I was like, hey, what if you like reverse that whole energy flow
Yeah.
into repairing the body and rebuilding the body and like manifesting that reality instead of hair falling out of your head. Um,
Thought
yeah.
thought is thought is creative, right? So
Mm-hmm.
our thoughts are the most powerful weapon we have, and we can use it in both ways, as you said. But it starts with the energy, right? Because everything is energy. Everything around me and including me is energy. And energy in itself is pure and it's neutral. Like pure
Mm-hmm.
energy is neutral. And we, as the thinker, now decide what to do with this energy because energy is um, structured by thought. So, and the same goes with your cells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Energy, everywhere is energy. Now I am the thinker and I decide to have positive thoughts about whatever. So the energy is just redirecting itself and, you know, is obedient to my
Yeah.
thoughts. And therefore my body is obedient to my thoughts. It's that
Mhm.
simple. You know, you can lose weight by just
Yeah.
changing your thoughts, you know?
Yeah. And reshaping your body too. Like, that's sort of like my bedtime meditation when I'm relaxing in bed. I'm like, I try to sort of go through my organs actually and like give some love back to my heart, give love to my kidneys, give love to my, well, I'm sort of focusing on my liver right now these last little while, but shining light back to the organs in your body. And then even when I'm doing my, I don't want to call it exercises, I call it body magic. I'm like imagining the muscles growing and like the body firming, like however, whatever changes I want to see, I'm like projecting that into myself as I'm doing my
Right.
workout, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's like it gives me more energy to do, to go more deeper into the body. The movement is you need to move the body. The stagnant energies that get trapped in our body from just how we sitting. I remember one guy said to sitting is like smoking. You're just in this bad position. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the times I fainted actually or passed out was I was in this bad chair and it just the I knew that it was like not a good position to be in. It was this weird bar stool and I stood up to just try and find somewhere comfortable and next thing I knew I was on the ground again. I was like
Wow.
it's been a while since I've had two experiences like that where I felt it happening before it was happening and I all this blocked energy in my body, this stagnant energy that couldn't flow.
Did you do urine therapy at that time already?
No, I haven't had
Oh.
an episode. I haven't had that. I had that happen twice, like pretty consecutively, like really close together. But since I started urine therapy, a lot of things have changed in my body. I'm
Yeah.
3 years now, and I was like you. I really went in, like I just went for
Yeah.
it. I got the information, and uh, I read John Armstrong's book, and I just like took the
Mhm.
deep dive fairly quickly and never stopped. And there was times at the beginning where I was like, no, this is making me sick. And then I was the old programming. So this reprogramming, I mean, I'm sure the reprogramming is still happening, but
Yeah. I mean, especially with the urine therapy, it's very important. I almost would say if someone is really, really disgusted by it, like really. I would say don't do it. Just
Yeah,
don't do it.
that's it.
Uh,
And
wait
yeah,
until you
when
are
I
a bit
when
more
you
clear in your mind. But like,
right,
thought is
I
creative,
like
and
how
maybe you
the
can create your own toxins. I don't know, but I think
oh
it's very
I
it's
I
very important. And
yeah,
in the how are these ancient scripts
willingly
called
and
again?
joyfully.
Yes, yes, they
I
say
like
that
how
in these scripts,
the
right?
Dhamma Tantra. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Dhamma
When
Tantra
you
says that you drink it
and
willingly and joyfully.
right, there's a good point to it. Like don't do anything, don't consume anything with hateful, negative thoughts. Like it's the
Yeah.
worst. Like I
Yeah, I
personally
say that all
don't.
the time. Like whatever you want to eat, just make sure you're happy about what it is that you're doing.
Yeah,
Just number one. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And dry, I think a lot of people jump into things really before their body is ready for them. And
yeah.
detoxing is one of the dry fasting, especially when people jump into that without preparing their bowel first. Like you want to have I feel like you really should have a reasonably clean and free flowing bowel movements before you start jumping into things like dry fasting and these kinds of things. Because you can, like you said earlier, actually injure your body uh, with pushing it before it's ready.
Yeah, the detox is just very strong with dry fast. It's probably the highest detox we can go into physically. So when we are emotional, not stable at all, and our energetic body, we have no idea how to take care of that. It's gonna really shake us up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it becomes dangerous, not just because of the physical obstructions, but mainly because we just on all bodies, on all levels, we just cannot handle it. When I did a
Mm-hmm.
dry fast, my longest dry fast was 6 days, I believe. Um, but I was doing it in that period where I was like juice feasting, for so long. And I did I knew how to breathe, and I was breathing myself regularly. And I don't know, like I was not into urine at that time, but the breath work, the breathing was really like the tool to keep me sane and to keep my energy up. Otherwise, you know, you cannot fast from anything, right? Then it's not fasting, then it's starving, right? So if we fast from food and then even liquids, we have the only thing that is left is air. So if we don't know how to breathe, and if we don't utilize the energy from the air, we are starving ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's my point. Like I think we all have to
Yeah.
learn proper breathing first before we do any fast, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a nice place to just kind of wrap it up. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
What's that? Hmm. Yes. Um, yeah, and whoever wants to get a hold of Kevin, taothesun.com. And I'm so excited for your workshop,
Yeah.
even though I'm probably not going to be there, but definitely want to do something in the future with you, Kevin, and have another conversation at least. If we can
Yeah,
have another
absolutely.
one before your event, or maybe after, we'll see what happens there. But beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful
Thank you so
work.
much. And yeah, for all the listeners, I do have free spots for the gathering. So if you are feeling inspired by anything I said, just get in touch with me and we can talk. It's definitely a once in a lifetime
Nice.
experience on that island. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. And I love how you are on your website. It's like you feel very approachable, and you really care for the people that sign up for it. You're like to guide them along the way of booking their, tips and tricks, which you have a lot of
Yeah.
experience going to and from this place. So it's really cool how you really connect even before people get there. I feel that already. And how many people do you take max? Just out of
I don't
curiosity.
have a fixed number, but something like between 7 and 9 or something. Yeah.
Nice.
I
Oh,
want to
that's a
keep
nice
it
group.
intimate. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And I'll just
Yeah.
pop my website up real quick. If people want to come and have a conversation and share, you can contact me on my website. So
Yeah.
thanks so much, Kevin. That was
Thank you
beautiful.
so much. It was lovely. Yeah.